Alright, now that we've picked out the purlings, because we have a 36-foot greenhouse, these are a little over 10 feet long, so it took 4 of them together. When you put your tech screws in it, you want to be very careful and make sure all your tech screws are in a line on one side of the pipe, because when you put the pipe up and you turn it, the tech screws need to be at the bottom so that when you put your poly on, there's no problem with anything being in the way. Your purling, your bow could hit where the tech screw is. You know, that way you don't have to worry about the bow being in the way of it or anything like that. So make sure your tech screws are on the bottom of your purling. On the parts that come from the greenhouse, the 2-hole straps, in your kit you will find 2. These are called 1-inch EMT straps. There's only 2 in the kit. These are made to go at each end of the purling to hold it up at the very end of the bow on the greenhouse there. Now we'll show you in just a little while where they go. And then you're going to be using these twist straps. These will actually ride over the top of the bow and come together like this. The bow will go through it here. The purling will actually come through it here. And you will put your carriage bolts in the bottom of it. Okay, to start with your purling at the top, you want to put it flush with the end of your ground stake here. That's so that when you put your poly on the outside out here, this will not be sticking over, so that you will run the risk of tearing your poly. You want it to be flush with the end. Now we're going to move down the pipe, and we're going to be marking the purling in the center of every one of our ground stakes. The reason we're doing that is when we put it up high in the air, we will know where the center of our bows need to be at up there, so that all of our bows and our purlings on our bows and our ground stakes will all be in line with one another, and they won't be leaning in or leaning out. They'll all be perfectly spaced. Okay, now that we're at the end here, you can see flush with the end of our pipe here. We're going to be cutting this pipe off with the sawzall so that it doesn't stick beyond the end of the ground stake. Okay, as an extra precaution, we're going to take our flat file and we're going to just run around this. We're going to get rid of the burrs that the sawzall left. It's going to fall off, that's all right. Okay, that ensures that we have no burrs. And now, there's no mention of this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just as a safety thing, because I know how easy poly can get tore. I'm just going to take a piece of duct tape and stick around the end of it, just as a safety precaution. Okay, this is your 1-inch EMT. This one goes on your very first purling, and there's one that goes on your very last purling. I gotta locate, which way are those screws? They're up. They need to be down. Okay.
Guys, y'all notice that ain't me up there. We incorporated a little help today. Showed up at lunchtime. He might get fed. It's my son Jesse and his wife Patty. She's going to be handing screws while I man the camera for a little while. Save me getting up on the scaffolding.
This ain't going to be easy, I can tell you that. Gotta go up one more.
And you were wanting me to stand on that ladder.
I need a third arm.
Patty, go up the ladder. Nice.
It's terrible, that bolt fell right in my pocket. Somewhere in there anyway. Okay, there's a few things that we kind of found out as we put the greenhouse together that might help someone in the future. The webbing that goes in here, the V trusses, can be quite aggravating to fool with if you don't know some roundabout measurements. One thing we figured was for the tape measure butted against this pole, coming across to the outside of that clamp right there, was 73 inches, and it seemed to be consistent on both sides all the way down through it. Now for that top up there, from the center of that bolt down to the top of this right here, right there, we determined was 71 inches. And that seemed to work throughout the whole thing. It held all of our purlins across here, was good and level. It seemed to work for us. So for those of you who start to put the V trusses in, if you'll kind of keep with those measurements on the high sidewall greenhouse, it seems like it works. And I thought I'd throw that tidbit in there to you just to help you out as much as I could.